Why don't blue whales eat fish? The biggest animal to ever live on Earth doesn't hunt giant squid, sharks, or even big fish. Instead, it mostly eats tiny shrimp-like creatures smaller than your finger. Why would something as enormous as a blue whale survive on such ridiculously small food? Blue whales are absolutely massive, bigger than buses, heavier than tanks, and somehow even larger than many dinosaurs ever were. A creature that huge needs an unbelievable amount of energy every single day just to keep its gigantic body moving through the ocean. So you'd think blue whales would go after huge calorie-packed prey, big meals for a big animal. But that's not what they do at all. Because catching big prey is actually really hard. Large fish are fast, agile, and very good at not becoming lunch. Tuna can suddenly change direction. Bigger schools of fish scatter instantly, and even medium-sized prey can easily escape if they sense danger. But blue whales aren't built for quick underwater chases. Sure, they can move surprisingly fast in short bursts, but steering a body longer than most school buses still takes a lot of effort. Chasing individual fish over and over would waste huge amounts of energy, especially if the whale missed. Instead, blue whales go after something that requires almost no effort to catch: tiny crustaceans called krill. And krill don't just gather in small groups. They gather in gigantic swarms containing millions, sometimes billions, of individuals packed tightly together in the water. For a blue whale, that's basically an all-you-can-eat floating buffet, rather than hunting prey one at a time. I've heard the whale simply lunges straight through the swarm with its enormous mouth open. As it does, stretchy grooves along its throat expand outward like a massive underwater parachute, allowing the whale to take in huge amounts of water all at once. Then the whale pushes the water back out through stiff brush-like plates in its mouth called baleen, trapping the krill inside. The result is less like traditional hunting and more like vacuuming soup. And even though each krill is tiny, together they contain a ridiculous amount of calories. That's because krill spend their lives eating microscopic phytoplankton, tiny plant-like organisms that capture energy from sunlight near the ocean surface. So massive swarms of krill are basically giant living clouds of concentrated energy. For a blue whale, this is perfect. The krill are slow-moving. They're easy to find, packed together densely, and available in absurd numbers. A whale can consume millions of them in a single day while using far less energy than it would spend chasing fast-moving fish around the ocean. In a weird way, it's similar to what happens on land. The largest land animals don't usually hunt other giant animals either. Elephants, rhinos, and ancient long-necked dinosaurs mostly survived by eating huge quantities of abundant food that didn't require much effort to obtain. Once animals become extremely massive, efficiency starts mattering more than aggression. And in the ocean, krill happen to be one of the most efficient foods on Earth. In fact, scientists think the existence of enormous krill swarms may actually be one reason blue whales evolved to become so gigantic in the first place. And bigger whales could filter more water, eat more krill, and store more energy, which created evolutionary pressure for whales to become even larger over millions of years. So the biggest animal in Earth's history didn't become enormous by hunting terrifying sea monsters. It became enormous by eating tiny things.